Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. Today is episode number 210. These are the best of times, and these are the worst of times. Stay tuned. Hi, everybody. Well, how are you this week? Every week changes a little bit more in our circumstances, doesn't it? But this is what I'm noticing today as I'm talking to you, being here in this present moment. Spring is sprung. I am looking out into my woods, and I would say right now, the trees are 50% green. And I've been watching them every day for about 3 weeks because I have so many in my backyard and I have this beautiful horizon. And I've watched it go from brown to 50% green right now. The leaves are on the trees. First they were little buds, and now they're actually leaves. And this is one of the miracles that I get to look at as I'm talking to you. It's one of the miracles that is going on right now during these times. Spring is still sprung. Spring is still coming. We can't stop it. We can't start it. It just happens, and we're not in control of it. And it's just one of the things just to remember, nature. And it's beautiful and it's cyclical. And I'm watching that and I'm thinking about these times that we're going through. They will end too. And where do you want to be when it's over? That's what I want to talk about today. And I also want to talk a little bit about, I got a letter from one of my previous clients who I've worked with for a long time, who's gotten very, very skilled at managing her mind and managing her urges. And she wrote me a letter and she asked if I would talk about this in my podcast, because if she's thinking it, there's probably a lot of people who are probably having the same problem as she is. And I want you to know that when I answer this, she's worked with me for a long time and she's still asking this question. And the reason I think it's important for you to see this is because no matter where you are in this journey, your old stuff keeps popping back up. It just keeps coming back. And I want you to know that is okay. It's okay. One of the best things that you can always say to yourself is, sweetheart, it's okay. It's just like this calming influence that'll come over you right away when you can just say that to yourself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the letter first, and then I'm going to respond to a couple of the comments that she said and give her and also give you some ideas on how to handle this. So this is what she wrote. I wonder if you might want to address in a future episode managing urges to eat for comfort or to buffer negative emotions about the situation in the world, and what you are advising clients to think about to manage their minds when they find themselves engaging in that behavior. I have found myself choosing to eat when not hungry during this time, saying to myself, you're not hungry, and nevertheless eating anyway. I know I will come back to being connected to my body, but I have found this new way of life, being at home all day, challenging. Thanks. Okay, so the way that I want to respond to this letter, because I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. And I found something really interesting that I've heard on social media a lot. They're calling it the Quarantine 15. And the Quarantine 15 is basically saying that during this quarantine, most people are going to gain 15 pounds. And, I think about it as the freshman 15 that, when kids go away to college for the first year, they gain 15 pounds, like being on their own and not having anybody to tell them what to do. And they automatically just start using food for all the wrong reasons. Do you remember that? I do. So anyway, I thought okay, the Quarantine 15. A lot of people are going to gain weight during this time. Is that true? So then I think about her letter that she wrote. And the first thing that I want to look at in this letter when she wrote it is from the first paragraph, what she ends up saying is, what do I advise clients to think about to manage their minds when they are engaging in this behavior? Okay, what do I want you to think about when you're engaging in this behavior? All right, well, let me tell you what I don't want you to think about. Let's start there first. Sometimes when you find yourself eating when you're not hungry, Because let's just say you heard something on the news or you're thinking about something that's going on with this virus right now that's creating a lot of negative emotion for you. I'm assuming that's what she's meaning when she says this is, managing our urges to comfort or buffer our negative emotions about the situation in the world. But here's what I want to show you. And this is what I have coached her on a lot of times is the situation is still just the circumstance. This situation, this virus, is still just a circumstance, just like any other circumstance that I've ever coached her on. And the thing is that for this client, she had a lot of different type of thoughts about a lot of different circumstances in her life that made her feel anxious and nervous, period. So if you think about it like that, this is just another circumstances where you have specific thoughts that create specific feelings for you. So if it's fear or if it's anxiety, I think it's good to understand what you're thinking. And sometimes the most important thing of what I'm going to advise somebody to do when they're engaging in this behavior, how to manage their minds, sometimes you don't manage your mind. Sometimes what you do is you feel the feeling. Because this is what I think. I think most of us think that by managing our minds, we get to change our thoughts real quick to go from a negative emotion to a positive emotion. I am telling you that does not work all the time. And I'm thinking that my client who wrote this might be not recognizing this, is that sometimes you have to feel the feeling. If it's anxiety, if it's fear, if it's nervous, sometimes what you have to do is just say to yourself, it's okay, sweetheart. You feel anxious right now. This is what anxiety feels like. This is what anxiety feels like when you feel scared. This is what anxiety feels like when you think the world is ending. This is what anxiety feels like when you think you're going to get it. This is what anxiety feels like when you think thoughts that scare you about this situation. And sometimes the best thing that can happen is that instead of having to manage an urge, you're having to feel a feeling instead. And I'm telling you, it's not easy, but I'm telling you this also, and this is what my client is recognizing, it's not easy when it's over to be able to look at it and just say, why did I do it? And punish yourself. That's not easy either. So the first thing that I'm recommending and what I'm answering in her first question is, what do I advise clients to think about to manage their minds when they are engaging in this behavior? Is one, I'm saying sometimes you don't manage your mind. Sometimes you just feel the feeling all the way through and tell yourself this is what it feels like. And sometimes you can just take yourself through what it feels like. This is what anxiety feels like. My stomach is tight. My stomach is tight, like so tight that I feel like I've been punched in the stomach. My fingers are tingling. My feet are tingling. I feel like I can't quite stand up. This is what it feels like when I feel anxiety like this. Sometimes when you can talk yourself through this and what it feels like, sometimes you will help yourself. It will dissipate the emotion without having to do anything other than feel it. Because the urge to want to not feel this feeling, to buffer this feeling, to numb this feeling is because you don't want to feel the feeling. And what I'm suggesting is to feel the feeling. And then what might happen? Once it dissipates, and this is the thing about all emotions come and go. All thoughts come and go. All circumstances come and go. Because one thing we know is that everything changes and nothing is permanent, including an emotion. It's okay, sweetheart. It will pass. You can eat 20 cookies or you can just feel the anxiety. Maybe you're going to choose the cookies and we'll talk about that too. But sometimes you might just choose to feel the anxiety. And the thing about allowing yourself to feel these feelings is that the more you feel them, the less afraid you are of feeling them. And then the less chance that you might have of wanting to buffer or not feel them. So that's what I would do when I'm talking about advising her about how to manage your mind that way. Now, The other thing that you can do of how you can manage your mind is I think it's really important sometimes to be able to not in the moment, but after the moment has passed, is once the feeling has dissipated or once you have maybe eaten something, I want you to see if you can see what was going on. Because a lot of times you can be the observer after the emotion has calmed down. See, a lot of us want to do it during, and I think that's what she's talking about too. Tell me what to do during this time. And sometimes you can't do anything during the time. You either have to feel the feeling or watch yourself do something that you don't want and tell yourself you'll figure it out. It's okay. Now, the other thing that she said is, I have found this new way of life, being at home all day, challenging. With this, I think it's really important because one thing I know about her is that when she has really strong negative emotion, that's when it's the hardest, as it is for most of you. That's when it's the hardest not to want to eat, not to want to numb. But I know that she has learned how to do it. I know that she's strong enough to do it, and she knows that she's strong enough to do it. And so one of the things that she says in here is that she says that she knows that she will come back. And what she means by that she knows that she will come back and connect with her body, is that she's learned from working with me that the biggest success of all is knowing that sometimes even when you do things you don't want to be doing, like giving into an urge or eating when you're not hungry, you always have an opportunity to come back at the next meal. And once she really figured it out and learned it that way, she became very successful with the number on the scale. It's so fascinating because she stopped beating herself up and thinking that she was doing something wrong and just realized the best opportunity she had was to come back at the next meal. That being said, when she says at the end of her letter, I have found this new way of life, being at home all day long, challenging, I want her to know and I want you to know that there's a circumstance here. And that is she's home all day. She's not working at her office anymore. This new way of life is challenging, is not reporting the news. It's not part of the fact. It's a thought that she has. And my guess is, just like I remember one thing that she said a long time ago when I did a podcast with her when I first started working with her, like I have a lot of history with this woman. So she knows when I'm talking, she knows I'm talking to her. But I want you to know that one of the things that she said way early on when she was really having trouble with nighttime eating was that she thought it was the red zone. She thought it was a danger zone. So she was already thinking that nighttime was a problem. And of course, the more she thought it was a problem, the more she created the problem, right? Because we always create evidence for our thinking. So it's so interesting to me that when she ended this letter, she said, I have found this new way of life, being at home all day, challenging, as if she's reporting the news to me. But the only news here is that there is a virus and she does have to be home all day for her work. That is a fact, that it's challenging. And it's a new way of life. Like there's a lot of ways that you can think about this. And if you think about, like I think about, like this is a little bit of a new way of being right now. But for me, it's not challenging. I like it, right? And that's the thing about thoughts, is that a fact is a fact. Like it's true. I am home more than I used to be. I just don't find it challenging. I find it kind of exciting. And I find myself wanting to be more creative. And I find myself, I don't know, maybe even feeling a little bit more joyful at times because I have less to do. It's just an interesting thing. But for her, she finds it challenging. Now, as you all know, this is the best time to manage your mind, is the situation that she's talking about in the beginning of her letter. You know, how to manage your minds around this world situation. This is the first step, is to realize how you're thinking about this situation and if you want to be thinking that. So I'm thinking for her that when she thinks it's challenging being at home all day, it creates a negative emotion. And when she has that negative emotion, that's my guess is when she wants to start eating when she's not hungry because of the negative emotion, right? It's like, oh, what else can we do other than feel this? All right. This is really when it comes to managing your mind. So first I said, feel your feelings. Now I'm talking about managing your mind, and managing your mind first about this circumstance that you're going through right now, like for her. If she believed with all her heart, which she does not at this point, that it was not a challenge, that it was anything but a challenge. Like for instance, for me, I don't find it a challenge. I do find it a little bit more relaxing. And I also find for a lot of my clients, I am finding for them the same thing, that they're actually finding more time to do more self-care for themselves because they're at home. It's all a choice on how you want to think about it first in order to create feelings, actions, and results. So my sweet, sweet, darling client who I love so much, and you know I'm talking to you, the first thing that has to change is how you see the situation. If you're going to see it as challenging, and that's the thought that you want to continue to believe, you're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel challenged. And it's not going to create probably actions that you want. So this is what I'm going to offer everybody that's listening to this right now. This time, definitely, you probably have thoughts that scare you, and you need to feel those feelings. And maybe you find yourself where she is, where thinking this is really challenging because I have to be home all day. But as long as you feel that, it's going to be hard to do anything. So what else can you think that might create something that might open you up a little bit more to the situation that you're in, that might not make you feel so anxious all the time or frustrated? Because I think when you think it's challenging, it's going to create negative emotion. So that's something for all of you to think about while you're home. What kind of opportunities do you have that you've never had before? Might this be more of an opportunity and less of a challenge? Is it possible that you could wrap your mind around the opportunities and less around why it's so challenging? Because as long as you think it's challenging, your mind is going to create evidence why it's such a challenge, which is why it sounds like she's reporting the news when she says this, because she probably believes it with all of her heart, because she's probably been believing it for long enough to think that it's challenging. What else do you want to think? This is what you have to think when you're managing your mind. What else might be open to me? If this wasn't a challenging time, what else might I believe that might make me feel different? And if you can't get your mind off of challenging, like you just can't let go of it, like your favorite pet that keeps biting you, but you just want to hold it anyway, then I think maybe what you could think, just to start out with, is that I'm open to thinking that this might not be as challenging as I believe it to be. Or as long as I think this time is challenging, I will feel challenged. You open up your mind to the possibility that your thought is what's creating all of your feelings, actions, and results. Your eating is a result of your thinking. And once you can see your thinking, can you open up your mind to the possibility that you could be wrong? Can you open up your mind to the possibility that there are other options? If you can, then it's possible that you can feel differently, act differently, and get a different result, especially when it comes to food. Food is not the answer. We all know that. But when and if you see yourself doing something you don't like to do, this might be a third thing that I offer. Please make sure that you don't beat yourself up. Please become curious instead of furious. You understand what I mean? That means for my client that wrote this, that becoming curious about what might be going on. You might not find out until after the fact, but if you become curious, you might figure it out. If you become furious, you just put yourself down, tell yourself you can't do it, and all is lost. You'll never figure it out. So for now, what do you want to believe about this circumstance? Can you believe something that will help you have an action that will give you a result that you would like to have for the duration of this time? This is going to end. And when it ends, do you want to be part of the Quarantine 15? If you do, those are the thoughts you want to create. But if you don't want to be a part of the Quarantine 15 and you want to be part of a thinner, healthier, stronger you, then thinking about this in a way that will empower you is the best advice I can give you. So no matter what else you do this day, no matter what you think about the circumstance, know that it's managed by your mind, that you get to feel your own feelings, and that when you can feel your own feelings, you get stronger. And also know that the kinder you are to yourself, the more you will learn about yourself. Have a beautiful week, no matter what. And of course, be very, very kind to yourself. Bye-bye.
To get a free copy of Dr. Deb's companion workbook with all the tools, homeworks, and discussions that she uses in her podcast with all of her private clients, please go to drdebbutler.com/change. This will make it even easier to follow along with her in future broadcasts.